going on, y'all? Welcome to another episode of We Need to Talk. Uh, Back again with another great episode. Your gracious host, Marcus K. Jr. And we have a special guest. My brother is in the building. He goes by the name of Chris, also known as KG Smooth. You may know him as a voiceover actor. You may know him from The Quiet Storm. You may also know him from Ready to Love on OWN seasons 3 and 4. The first and only double up contestant slash guest. So, an enlightened brother, a light being, a manifestation agent, somebody who is different but right on time and has been, slowly infusing the world with a lot of great things that we all need to hear. And so this is none other than my brother Chris. Welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Man, thank you, Marcus, and thank you for that incredible introduction. I'm like, man, he's talking about me. It's really good.
Yeah, and most definitely, and it goes without saying because I've had the privilege to already kind of chop it up and check in with you on quite a few occasions, and you have a lot to bring. So I want to give you the opportunity to be able to speak on your experience, speak on your journey. But first, I like to know just for the people. How would you clarify your role? What is it that you do as of right now?
As of right now, what do you mean professionally?
Professionally, yeah.
Okay, so as of right now, I'm a on-air personality. On air being on the radio, as Marcus mentioned, I host the Quiet Storm here in Houston on Magic 102.1, and also host a community affairs program called the Public Affairs Podcast that airs Sunday mornings on all three of the Radio 1 Houston brands here in Houston. Also have my own podcast called Conversations with KG, and I am now a reality contestant. I don't know if the word star is appropriate, but yeah, now I'm a reality show person who had the incredible opportunity to do 2 seasons of Ready to Love here in Houston. So it was wild. TV is where I wanted to go next. After radio, I didn't know or think that it would come in the form of reality television, but you know what? I will take it. I'm taking everything that comes my way. Like, this is the year of yes for me. So it's all yeses.
Absolutely, and so I asked you that for this reason. Like I with everybody, I'm a life coach. I work within the realms of mental health, life purpose, relationships, and physical health. So something that's been interesting to me that I always like to check in on is where you are now, and then rewind to your origins and what were the sparks maybe in childhood, young adulthood, that would lead you into the path where you find yourself today. Because it seems like your gifts, most of your gifts that are utilized now, come from communication.
Yeah.
The gift of being able to have discussions, have communications, to express, hear, and listen and express as well at a high level. So did you have early, what was little Chris's, patterns, or what were you doing in
Music.
recess? What was it like for you?
Music was the pattern.
Okay.
I remember my earliest gift being like a little toy piano, playing with that, keyboard throughout. And when my brother was born, he's musically inclined. We used to play singing, him on the drums, me keyboard. But I always loved the radio. My grandmother listened to the radio, like talk music, the talk stations, always up on the news, reading the newspaper. And when the first black own, radio station in Dayton came about in like the late 80s or early 90s. Um, had a radio in my as a matter of fact, I rebuilt a radio. It was a broken radio that somebody had threw out on the corner for the trash to pick up, and I got the stereo and the speaker and did the electrical stuff and fixed it, and that was my stereo with that speaker. And me and my brothers, we used to fall asleep to the radio at night, like sleeping on the floor by the speaker, falling asleep, and that was just a thing. So radio had always been there. In elementary school, we used to do these career surveys, and like I remember like fourth, fifth grade, third, fourth, fifth grade, and I remember my first pick always being a lawyer, and my second pick was a radio DJ. So fast forward through school, just growing up in the church, musically inclined, singing, in the choir, whatever. Lead my brother, playing the drums. And then I didn't know that I really had the gift of, well, growing up singing in the choir in the church, like I used to hear like the elders say, how powerful my voice was when I sang. My grandmother would be like, I can always tell when you're in the tenor section because we're the loudest, you know what I mean? Like, so I knew that. And then in high school, when in choir class, when I had to get the class together, my music teacher had hooked up the PA system, and I get on the mic just to get everybody together, like, and as soon as I spoke, like everybody was quiet and I had their attention. And one of my girlfriends at the time was like, "Oh, Chris, you sound good on the mic." And that was the first time. And then, just radio just always being in the back of my mind. I remember meeting one of the personalities, that my mother knew growing up. But I didn't jump into it then. It was just always there. And then as I was going to school at the University of Cincinnati and working at K&G Men's Mart, it's funny, KG worked at K&G. My coworker's girlfriend came in. She worked at the station in promotions. And I was like, yo, radio is something I always wanted to do. She was like, well, I'm kind of new. I only been there a month, but here's the program director's name and number. Tell him I told you to call. So that Monday I called him. Left him a message. He called me back, left me a message. I called him. We talked. He asked me to come in the next day for an interview. I was hired on the spot. 2 weeks later, I was on the air after, training and learning how to run the board. The weekend that I saw the schedule with my name by myself and that buddy that I have been training with, I was like, yo, like, am I talking? And so my program director down here, we worked together down in Cincinnati, my first station. Back in 2000, she walks out like, yeah, player, you ready? You ready to crack the mic? I'm like, wait, am I really by myself? So I go down to my program director's office. I'm like, yo, I see the schedule. Like, I'm really by myself. He's like, yeah, you ready? I'm like, yeah. And so Terry sticks her head in the office. She's like, yeah, it's so funny. Hurricane kept calling your house so we can hear your voicemail greeting. Like, look at this, listen at this kid. This kid's got great pipes. Like, and so, back in the early 2000s, how we used to talk over the intro to songs for our voicemail greeting. I was talking over Erykah Badu's Didn't You Know? And I was, trying to sound all sexy and deep. And come to find out that's why he hired me. So I got hired in the radio off of my voicemail greeting.
Wow.
And I always said, like, when the fun stops, it's time to go. And here I am, 20 years later, it'd be 21 the end of November, still loving what I do. I know the impact that I have, especially with, hosting this community show here for what, seven years now. And so the impact that I have on the community here in Houston, so I love that because I use that platform for us, specifically for us. If there's an organization or you got something going on that's for the community, come on the Public Affairs Podcast. We'll get it on. And a lot of organizations and, people, especially that ain't got the dollars to buy advertising dollars for TV or radio, they really appreciate me opening that platform so they can get the word out because other media outlets have turned them down and I've been like the only one to say yes. And so with that, doing my part there, but I always feel like I can do more. But yeah, that's that's how it all came about. I mean, it was literally divine. I mean, like, and now that I'm here, I was like, man, I must have been manifesting this my entire life with it. Me always thinking about it being in the back of my mind because the way God handed it to me was on a platinum platter. I mean, literally, I got hired off my voicemail greeting. I thought the man hired me because I knew what I was talking about when it came to music. Because during my interview, he had got some new records from the label, and we were listening to the new songs, and he was getting my opinion, and I'm, giving my opinion as far as the production and the vocals and all of that. And I remember him looking back like, what are you talking about? But it even made it more cooler to know that he hired me off my voicemail greeting. So
Yeah, that's dope for a lot of reasons. But like you mentioned, this is something that you've been training for your whole life and had no idea. Because I often try to encourage people to tap into their purpose, because I connected to dating, and we'll connect that in a minute. But I think that purpose is so important because of the fact that it's a development and a crystallization of your identity. It helps you. It
mhm.
helps you to clearly form your identity. And without a clearly formed identity, it makes dating very difficult, and it puts you in a space to connect to other people's dreams and agendas, as opposed to knowing who you are and what you're about. And so with your particular story, it was hidden from it was what you love to do. It was like you said, the church. You were already connected, what I'm saying, through family, and it was something that you participated in. You had the social feedback, which is people compliment you on the voice, whether it's singing, whether it's speaking, and then you got to see for yourself. It was proven to you that this was power when you would speak, and then people would kind of just be kind of taken for a second,
Yeah.
and listening to what you were saying, and what was to come next. So you had to know it. Other people knew it. And it was, like you said, you and your brother, it was recreation. Before it was a job, right? Or a career, it was recreation. Y'all were putting together, radios and
Yeah, it
listening
was just
and
fun. I
going,
mean, like,
man.
we used to be like, let's play singing. Like, how do you play singing? But we would be our own little band.
Right. And that's where it starts. And a lot of times, I always say, there's in every chronological age range, we should be comprised of a lot of different age ranges. And I
Mhm.
say that because some people try to get old too fast, and some people try to act in an imbalanced way, too young and immature. But I think every age has their benefits. So, we should be older, maybe in wisdom, but childlike in the sense that we are tapped into the very things to this day
Yes.
that brought us joy as a child. So always learning, always growing, always having that spark, right?
Yeah.
And
We
that's a
should
great
never
thing to
lose
do.
that.
Say it again.
We should never lose that. We should never lose
Never.
that child, like that inner child. We should never, ever, ever lose that. I still got it. I mean, I love to have fun and do adventurous, thrill seeking things, I mean, and little things like make me happy. Just being in a room full of good people with great energy and we laughing, like just those small things, watching, my nieces play, sitting at the beach, just watch it. Like, I'm so easy. But I enjoy the simple things of life because people take that for granted.
Yeah. All too often. And like you mentioned, there's blessings in every moment if we put ourselves in a space to be able to capture it and to be focused on it. Um, and the unfolding of things. And I think a lot of times there's so much of a external happiness view, or milestone based. When I get to this point, I'll be happy. When I get to that point, when I get this person, this soulmate, I'll be good then. But until
Hmm.
then, so that basically says it sets the ground for, until then I'll suffer, right? Because
Mm.
If your
Mm.
happiness is down the line and it's a countdown effect, then the days leading up, you're willing to suffer and you're expecting to, because your happiness is 100 yards away. So I always, encourage, individuals to like you just said, just kind of focusing on what's here. What do I not what don't I have, or what's not available? What's in my midst? What's in my proximity now that I can
Hmm.
drain from, grow from, learn from? Some of the most negative scenarios carry information. If at the very least we get information, we can turn that into power later. But um and I want to get to a lot of the things because you drop a lot of jewels when we talk as well. I want to get to that soon, but you did mention a girlfriend in there, and I want to ask, before Ready to Love, before Owned, before all of that, how, take us through your dating journey. What are some things you learned? What are some things you ran into? Maybe some funny stories, some difficult moments. How would you piece that together?
I kept running into, well, growing up, I never, getting cracked on, for being so dark. Like I never thought that, I was attractive because I was dark, in high school, when some of the girls, like, some of like the cheerleading squad, like some of the baddest
Mm-hmm.
ones in the school, like used to call me sexy. I used to get so confused because in my mind, I didn't think that I was, anything really
Mm-hmm.
worth looking at. That was just, oh, you black this, you black that. You know how the kids be, So that kind of, got in there. And then, once I went to college, like at UC, and then, things started happening. I was like, yo. So then, so that was fun. In college, you having fun.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
once once I got into radio and became more of an adult male, um, I was using it not necessarily for clout, like a pass, but it would definitely be uh, an enhancer on getting the girl, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then, once I got sick of that and wanted to, really take it seriously and not just smash to be smashing, I found myself, attracting women who it was more like what I can do for them. Like, oh, I'm dating KG Smooth, I'm dating Chris Green. I can go to these concerts, I can get these free CDs.
Mm-hmm.
We go to movie premieres, galas, like all of that. And then, some of them may have had an organization that, they wanted to, get started and just, kind of using me through that. And then, and that happened all the time. Really didn't realize it until, I did. And I'm just like, damn. So that's why I was at a point as to where I don't even want to meet women that know me as KG Smooth. Like, if you meet me as Chris, like at the grocery store or the laundromat or somewhere random where you don't know what I do,
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather meet you that way. And then, met some ladies that way, and it would be cool at first until they find out who I am. And some of them were still cool, but a majority of them would turn into fangirls and started treating me different, and I didn't like it.
Mm.
I didn't like it. I didn't like the whole getting this fangirl because it was I didn't like it. So I get it when when how celebrities feel when they're like that. Like, and that's why I think that I'm so great. And that's why I think I'm a great interviewer, especially when I interview celebrities, because I treat them like a regular human being. And I
Yeah.
just talk to them regular, degular, schmegular, and they
Mm.
love and appreciate that, you know. So that the, as soon as I mean, and even in the beginning, it can come out as sincere with pure intentions as possible. But after about, I don't know, 3 weeks, a month, and they, kind of slide and mention something, business like, on me helping them do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, then, my antennas start to come up, and, that I guess PTSD, if you will kind of creep up on me, and then I'll just kind of fall back.
Gotcha, gotcha. And I think for you personally, what I have noticed is that you're a very authentic person, and with that comes the only way to really match with that is to match with somebody just as authentic, just as focused on the being and focused on the value of the individual, not the value that comes with their
With the
abilities.
individual,
You
yes.
see what I'm saying? And I think that, I always say that, dating is a filtration process. So it's you're supposed to run into things that aren't right. So so you can identify them as, okay, that is something that's supposed to get stuck in the filter. It's not supposed,
Hmm.
and the purity is going to move through at its own point in time. But I think that, along the way, we need to have some bumps in the road to kind of see who's okay. I know I don't like that. Okay, I like that until it changed. Or okay, I like
Yeah.
this physically, but that energy that they brought, I don't like that.
And,
And
and, and, and
but
what and what they didn't realize, Marcus, is that if their intentions would have been pure, and I, saw what they were doing and how they were moving, I would have extended the invitation to the help for more publicity. But
now
you coming
that's the funny
in
part.
it,
Hmm.
but you're coming in it with, with ill intentions, and, I peep game, and it turns me off, and you miss the whole opportunity. Had it been pure, I would have, offered anyway.
Right, right, and that's the unfortunate part for them, because it's always, I spoke earlier on information. It's always great when somebody shows their hand, right?
Mhm.
May hurt, it may offset what we wanted to happen, but at the end of the day, I want to see that hand as early as possible, so we don't waste long amounts of time, effort, energy, for no reason. Because, again, this journey is for personal growth. This journey is for purpose. It's for impact, and the way you have set up your life has been immensely impactful for your city. You know what I'm saying? And I, I'm not from there. I've never been there. But the things that you told me just about, the way that you have postured yourself to say, okay, when I was coming up, I got an opportunity. So now that I'm here, I'm gonna make opportunities for people who have hitting the wall and who aren't able to necessarily get the love and attention they deserve career wise. And so
Absolutely. Each one
having
teach
that
one. I mean, I feel like somebody taught
yeah,
me, so I feel like if they want the knowledge, if they want the information, if they want, whatever it is that I have to offer, I am willing to give it. Somebody taught me. It's my job to teach someone else. It's my responsibility to teach my people.
right, right, for sure. And it's interesting in dating, having that mentality you have, that forthcoming, giving, generous mentality on the wrong people, the wrong recipients, at times can make us feel like, why I don't even want to. Is there something wrong with? Am I giving too much? Like, why you don't even want to do it because you feel like it's being squandered, taken advantage of, and they're not operating properly. But I always say it's still a gift, because on the right, in the right hands, on the right person, it will be kicked back towards you. It will be a two-way street. So it's a matter of, holding that until, you're at that point. So which brings us to this show. Tell us how you found your way. I mean, I know the story, but tell the people how you found your way onto the first season you were on, and then, how that went, and how you managed to get on the next one.
Sure. So I have been hearing, a couple of friends of mine. This was like maybe like November of 2019. Um, like this dating show hit me up, like wanted me to audition, and in their DMs, and so I'm hearing that here and there, and then I'm checking mine, and I see one from a casting, person, and I ignored it.
And
And
I
then
didn't
they
know
saw
they
that I
did.
saw
I
it,
didn't
and
know
then
they
I was
just.
like, no. Go ahead.
I didn't know they just. I didn't know they DM'd. I thought it was always like casting calls and you audition, but they found
Yeah, I'm
you.
sure that they probably did it like that, but I don't know if like when they did for the cattle call, they didn't, get the responses they wanted, and so they just
Got
started, you know,
proactive.
going through Instagram profiles in Houston of, of black folks and finding out if they're single or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So didn't respond back. I got another message. I told him I wasn't interested. I got another message. And these are three different, casting people. It's not the same person,
Mm-hmm.
at least as far as I knew. Um, and I said no. So one night, I go on the station's Facebook Live when I'm on the air in the 11 o'clock hour, talking to my listeners on Facebook Live. Told them about it, and I told them how I said no, and they were like, "No, hit them back. Go do it. Audition. Do the show." I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
"What?" I'm like, "What are y'all for real?" It was like, "Yeah, you're a great guy. You deserve love, but if anything, to raise your profile, raise that KG Smooth brand." And I was like, "Wow!" I was really surprised. I mean, it was pretty unanimous
Mm-hmm.
that they were saying do it. So that next day, hit the last person in casting that hit me back, and told him, "All right, I'll give it a go." And within the hour, called me with my first, phone interview. And then, into 2020, things are kind of set when we're going to start filming, all of that. And then, boom, the pandemic hits. And so things are pushed back. But during that time, still going through the pretty rigorous audition process. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, made it, was on the show. Um, and then I had felt some things changing just during that summer before we went off to the resort to film. So just feeling some different things. Didn't know what it was. I remember, being there because we were quarantined for like 5-7 days in our rooms before we filmed. And I just remember even before just going in with the intention, like, I'm gonna go in, we're gonna kill it, we're gonna make an impression with production and
Mm-hmm.
everybody else, be the consummate professional that you already are, and you know, just we're gonna leave a great impression. Like that was my main thing in my mind. Like we're gonna go in like the professional that we are, and we're gonna leave an impression. And so go and film, and I was really good the day that I knew that I was going to be eliminated with doing that scene, that dating scene with Naya and her sister cousin friend.
Yeah.
Um, I knew that I was going home, and I was good with it because I started to see how things were happening, and it made me uncomfortable. I'm like, I'm good. I was on long enough. I was like, I think I'm on like 6 episodes. That's more than enough. That's to be memorable. Like I'm on long enough. I'm gonna be remembered. Like I'm good. Of course, don't get me wrong. I'd like to stay another week to get another check, but
Yeah.
I don't live like this. Um, and so left processing it out. I went back home because you can't just go back to civilian life after having an experience like that. Like you're off for weeks at a time in this bubble on the resort. It was like we were like the NBA. We were just like the
Yeah.
NBA. We were
Right.
in
Right.
a
Right.
bubble. We couldn't go past nothing else. COVID tests like every other day. Yeah. So just processing it out, and I was like, man, being Monday morning quarterback, I was like, man, I should have played the game. But then I was like, did you do it right? Did you move right? I was like, well, I was genuinely myself. Like, we'll see how it pans out. Maybe I didn't do it right. Maybe next time I do. Whatever. But then I was like, there ain't gonna be no next time because This made me realize I'm not a reality show guy. So
Mhm.
the show airs. everything they see. We see what happens. Of course, I didn't mind dying on that financial hill with the whole, maybe we split the mortgage, that whole thing. I was good with that because I know what really
Yeah.
happened. That date was like 2 hours long. Y'all got like a minute and 20 seconds of a 2 hour conversation.
Right.
Um, so seeing how I moved and how the fans, really rocked with me. And so when we went to film the reunion, I'll never forget, it was December 4th, 2020, because that's my brother's birthday. It's just that whole day. It was like a 14-hour shoot. So we leaving to go. I hear, two people calling my name, and I turn around. It's one of the executive producers, or two of the executive producers. Um, and they were like, "Hey, you were a fan favorite last season. We were doing all the tracking and all of that." But then, well, to back up, while we were filming our walk-up scene, one of the producers was like questioning me, like kind of checking the temperature on me. He was like, "Yeah, hey, how did you like this experience?" I was like, "Oh, it was cool." I realized I'm not a reality show guy. He was like, "You wouldn't do it again?" I was like, "Nah, not really my deal." He was like, "Well, what about something like this? Like, would you do something like this again?" I was like, something like this. Like, yeah, this wasn't so bad, but like just reality TV, I'm not, that guy." And then doing some more small talk, and then he told me how I was a fan favorite and how they were tracking, and I was like, "Oh wow," unbeknownst to me. So then when they called me back after filming Last Resort reunion, they're like, "We want to bring you back. You'll be the first in history to do it." A lot of people thought
Yeah.
that you were wrong and blah, blah, blah. And we start filming on January 14th.
Okay.
And I was like, damn, I was like, December 4th, January 14th. Like, yo, like that's in like 5, 6 weeks. So I was like, forget it. I was like, yeah, okay, let my program director know. And, not knowing how they were going to roll me out, you know, well, we go and we film, this season, which is a different format because we're back to the original style and dating throughout Houston, and you film your scenes and you go off, so you don't know all of the other dates or conversations that are going on. With Last Resort, we were there, so we saw everything. Whoever had whatever dates, like we were together,
Gotcha.
all the time. So we kind of knew, what was going on, not with this season. And so we go and we film this, and now we're at the finale, and, redemption. That's all I could say about my return. But having said all of that, the show chose me twice. I didn't choose the show,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, and people, have theories or want to spread rumors as to why and how I was a fan favorite and how I came back, and I'm just laughing because none of it's true. I didn't do anything extra. And as I
Mhm.
told, the listeners and the fans of the show on my live, like, you wanna know what the flex is? Here's the flex. I showed up as authentically myself.
Mhm.
That's the flex. You should try it and see how far in life you go.
For sure. For sure. And that's where I was gonna go with it next because the tagline or the ongoing theme has been authenticity from the gate. And the interesting part is in what a lot of people would deem as an inauthentic environment when we talk about reality TV and the stigma that it has. It's very interesting how an authentic individual who's authentic throughout has made history as far as the show is concerned and has been requested on multiple from the inception and multiple occasions throughout to continue on the show. And so far it seems like you have found much more than you were able to encounter the first go round. So
That's it.
it's a testament to you know being authentic, being yourself. And what's funny is that initial DM that you got, is almost parallel to, as far as the casting, it's almost parallel to you getting the interview and the job based on that voicemail. You see how the
Oh
two
wow,
kind of
Marcus.
kind of
Yeah,
connect.
okay.
You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? It's just the technology shifted, but
Right.
your light and authentic self commands what you need, even if you don't know you need it. You know what I'm saying? And
Wow.
so that's one of the dopest things about your story. Period. It's just that, you know, the entire way you remaining yourself and remaining not only somebody who's ingrained in your gifts and talents, but also opening doors, also being generous, you know, paying it forward, each one teach one, like you mentioned, all of those different things, and moving with that kind of energy, it bends time, universe, all those different things to what's best for you, because you deserve your goals to be realized. You deserve the enhancement, the amplification of your voice to bigger networks, bigger audiences, and that sort of thing. So it hits you when you ain't looking for it. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
absolutely. Absolutely.
Man,
Absolutely. Wow. Thank you for that too.
that's
Mm,
major. No doubt, got you,
yeah.
got you. Yeah, that's major, because I'm picking it apart, and I see it, you know, extremely clearly. Like, and you know, even when we had first connected, I was like, you know, the how you're maneuvering in that space is different than what's typically presented and seen in that, you know, space. So I think, you know, or I know, and you know as well, that there's much more bigger things to come, you know, for you, you know, much more doors opening up, you know,
Thank
as
you.
we speak, and things like that, you know.
I
So
feel it.
it's
I can feel it. Yeah, I can feel it. I've been manifesting that. And it's just so, oh man, I'm just overwhelmed with gratitude right now just thinking about it. It's just so amazing to, know your purpose and realize that when you are pure in intention and you vibrate higher, how you can manifest things and things that really happen. Like just even just little small things, like little itty bitty small things. For example, I saw I'm at the station one night. I'm getting the commercial logs together. I go in the music office and I just see this whiteboard from the artist Bobby Sessions. He's a Dallas artist. Just dropped his. He's on Def Jam. Just dropped his album called Manifest. And so I saw the whiteboard that had Bobby Sessions Manifest. I was like, oh man, this is cool. Like I was like whiteboard and something, like just thinking about it. And I took it in the studio and used it that night, in my show, erased it and put it back in the music office. 2 days later, as I'm leaving, I see that there's a white package by the door. I pick it up. It's got my name on it from the label, and it happens to be that package from from the label with Bobby Sessions and the whole manifest whiteboard. and,
mm,
and the other gifts that came in there, and I was just like,
man.
wow, like I was like, y'all are so out of control. Like this is just amazing. Just something so simple
Yeah.
as a whiteboard. And then I listened to Bobby Sessions album, and it's good. And what he's talking about, I was like, man, bruh, he tapped in. There's a lot of people that I'm going back now that I'm here, and I go back and I listen to their message and their music, and I was like, yo, you too. Like, okay, all of y'all, because what I'm realizing is that in the spiritual realm, when you ascend from this 3D to 45D, um a lot of people, they keep it to themselves because they know it's not for everybody. Meanwhile, my naive self, I'm just running around like after December 21st, like just telling my story, not realizing to everybody else, like, you sound nutsoid. But I didn't care. I don't
Yeah.
care. because I know that I was chosen and I know what the mission is, and that's what I'm doing. I'm leading with love. So, and what I realized, like those that, and this is where this is on me. People that have talked some stuff about me or doubted me or whatever that I've heard, or like I might have got an energy or a look from them, they've all came back and said, dang, like I remember when you said this, you were right on this, or I did notice this, or even the people on the show, even production on the show said that to me. Like, yeah. And so I don't even know what to say about it. It's great to be here. I want everybody to be here, but everybody ain't ready, and people don't want to wake up, and that's on them. I can plant little seeds here and there, which I have been doing it seems everywhere I go now, Marcus, when I have that mic and I'm talking to the people, spirit just takes over and I start, delivering the message and they receive it.
Yeah.
They receive it. That's the thing. I mean, some of them may be a little perplexed or maybe something that they will probably think about later on, maybe connect some dots or look further, but I can feel the energy of acceptance and listening to what I have to say and it sparking something in them, especially this past weekend with the few events that I had hosted. Yeah.
And that's incredibly important, and it's that's your gift, and it's been that since the early days of you realizing it, and that's still apparent. The difference now is you become enlightened, awakened, ascending, evolving, right? And you want to give it as you learn and as you receive it, you want to give it right back, and I think that's how you exist on multiple, whether it's romantically, whether it's friendships, whether it's community. I think that's just you, period. But the difference is with this area is this isn't a gift that always looks like one because of the work that's been done to keep everyone subdued, subjugated mentally, so to a large degree, and how much fear has been the tool of confusion, brainwashing, etc. So it's a gift because you've accepted it multiple times on different levels as the information comes and you seek it out. It doesn't look that way to other people. So your challenge as this deliverer of information and guidance and support, etc., is to find a way to shape it as such so that it's accepted or interpreted as the gift that it is. And so that you might have to switch speeds, and you know this already, but just the speed that you deliver it, how you package it, right? So now not only is it about the disseminating, expressing the information, but part of your skill now is how do I mold this into the best and most palatable, right, sizable, and also able to be viewed as the gift that it really is, and baby steps again.
Absolutely.
Climbing, because the thing is, for people like ourselves who are seeking it, so we can handle it at a certain speed. If you think about personal trainers, they can just hop in the gym and start doing stuff, high speed, high intensity, right? And then you think of, okay, well, there are people who don't necessarily work out like that. They know what they might know it's beneficial, possibly, but they don't have the habit as an individual that seeks it out and keeps their body ready. You know what I mean? So we're battling through fears, blockades, traumas, all kind of stuff that keep people in a certain rigid mindset and perspective. But that doesn't stop.
They never grow. They never grow when they don't deal with those traumas of the past. I mean, it's amazing how, I know some grown people that's like my mama's age and even folks around my age that when I interact with them, it's like, dang, like you still, it's like the same personality from 30 years ago. Um, Not that I'm that old, to say 30 years ago, but like, you're the same one. And so what I'm realizing, when people don't deal with past traumas, they kind of stifle themselves because they haven't healed from whatever it was that, traumatized them mentally, emotionally, and whatnot. And they kind of stay there, and they never mentally kind of mature because they don't handle that. And that's a big thing uh, in our community. But again, we've been programmed to think that the work that you do is, ain't for us. I mean, now, of course, over the last 4 or 5 years, it's been more accepting, and we're realizing the importance of therapy and talk therapy and talking it out. Um, but yeah, we told it that's for the other folks and not for us, and that keeps us, it keeps us, enslaved and down,
Now,
because pressure is going, either pressure make diamonds, but pressure also busts pipes. And that's what happened when people hold all of that emotional baggage in, and then they end up blowing up. Like, release it, let it out. I tell my nephew one time when I was back home, and he was getting frustrated with something. He started crying. I was like, what's wrong? Like, you can get it. All right, okay. So go ahead, stand here and cry, let it out. But we're gonna go back and do it. Like, we still gonna get it done. Like, it's okay. Let it out. You're gonna go through it. We ain't gonna stay there. That ain't it. Like, you go through it. Like, you're gonna go through that emotion. Go through it. We ain't gonna stay there. Go through it, and now we back. So I think if we take that aspect and say it's okay to release it, let it out, because if you don't, it's so what? They're gonna think that you're a punk. So what? You're gonna be, your emotional intelligence is going to supersede theirs, threefold. So
it's like go through it and then use it, right?
go through it and then use it. That's a bar, Marcus.
It's plentiful over here. Trust me. I got so many quotes. I gotta start rapping again. I need T-shirts. I gotta do something. But I appreciate that. But I think it. I think that's one of the major keys, because we go through it and then we let it gather momentum too much.
Mm-hmm.
We stay in it. We vent about it. We bring more miserable people in to let's have a campfire and spin this negativity around. And then that momentum keeps going when we're asleep, waking up with anxiety. We're vibrating in the same problem for months, years, and sometimes lifetimes. So, and to bring it back to dating, because I got a question for you as well. Like, for me, and this ties into there's three things that I look for when dating somebody, and if somebody can't get past these or they don't possess these, I can't move forward. I don't care how good somebody looks, right? And I always tell people this. So my three that I need without a doubt are self-awareness, accountability, and an inherent desire to evolve. And I think these three, and I say this a lot of times on my broadcast, these three, they help to become, they're basically a fail-safe against a lot of the major issues that people run into, because the stuff that people argue about and, time and time again, that ruin relationships, all of that can be solved proactively or even before getting into those type of situations, when you have these three. For example, if you're self-aware, a lot of the stuff, the patterns, the I am who I am, it is what it is, I was like this, I've been like this, the autopilot mentality where I'm a product of my traumas and failures and experiences, and you got to take it in however it's jumbled together, you just got to take that. Somebody who's self-aware is gonna know what's going on. They're gonna be searching and introspective for different ways. Okay, I do that. Okay, this is a product of how I was raised. Okay, that divorce did affect me. Awareness. Now, accountability says, yes, these things happen. Yes, that happened to me. I allow it to affect me by virtue of my choices. And I see that, and I can recognize that. And I can also take it as constructive when it's brought to my attention in a relationship. And I can apologize and own it. And then the inherent desire to evolve fixes it. Third step, which is before meeting the one, I inherently want to grow anyway. So the awareness brings it to my attention. I'm looking for it. The accountability allows me to say, I own it for performing it and doing it. And the desire to evolve makes me work on changing it before it even comes to anybody else's attention. I'm already on it because I desire to grow before the mate. So then when the mate comes, I'm already in autopilot with that. And then we can grow together. But you can't grow together if one person is stagnant, stuck, refuse to give any accountability, refuse to grow, refuse to see that there's anything wrong or anything flawed or anything that needs improvement. And then essentially you're looking at a dead being, somebody who would rather defend their actions than change any of them or grow through them, right? So that's why somebody like yourself stands out, because the growth is there, the voracious reading, the information, all of that stuff, the introspection, all of that stuff is there. And so you're able to ascend to a certain degree that a lot of people may look at, try to downplay, try to throw dirt on, because that's how people equalize the room. If I'm here and I don't want to change, I'm gonna stay here. But when I see this, the only way to equalize the distance, I have to bring this down. I could jump up. I could say, Chris is on it. Help me, Chris. Help me be like you. Help me grow. What's your secret? What are you reading? That's closing the distance this way. But what it creates to go this way means you got to climb, and climbing is work. So instead of that, I'm gonna work on bringing this down. That's how I equalize the room, and that's a lot of BS. And it seems like you've encountered that. But what are
the same three? The exact
same three, my man.
Same three. So when you were saying that, I was like, well, you've took it all. Self-awareness, accountability, and the desire to evolve. If you can't do that, like, what are you doing?
Right.
What are we doing? Because I can't rock with that. Those three are so important. And what you just said, Marcus, is my answer to, because I know I'm going to get a lot of interviews after, the finale of Amber and I together and separately. And I know I'm going to get, what did you learn throughout this process, or maybe both processes? And combining the two, what I have learned is that, to your very point, people are fragile and they need some serious healing. That I've learned that the mirror, for a lot of people, it is so hard to look at. The mirror, when it's up and close and you got to look at every blemish, large pore, everything, that is difficult to look at. And when you see that mirror the same way that everybody else does, and don't get me wrong, like production and editing, yes, that plays a role into it. However, miss me with that too, because that's that victimhood mentality, and I'm not here for that, because we all knew what we signed up for when we did this show. Reality television has been around for, if we really want to go there, for 30 years, if you want to count the Real World on MTV. But the boom of reality TV back in 06, 07, where we got the Kardashians and and all of that, and then later the Love and Hip Hops and the Real Housewives and all of that. You see how it is done. You see how the viewer reacts. You see the comments on social media. So all of the dynamics and how people, probably yourself included, participates when engaging in this type of entertainment. So when you get into that type of entertainment and you signed up for it, you know exactly what you were getting into. So, crying wolf and wanting to play the woe is me victim, I understand. I just pray for your healing and some closure, because you've got to deal with you. If you came into it with the wrong intentions, and you came and now that's beginning to show and reflect back to you, and you're catching the heat and you can't handle it, you got to look at yourself. So yeah, to everything that you just said, but my answer to all of this stuff, like those three, it let me realize that people don't want to take accountability for anything that they do. They always want to put their stuff on someone else. All right. People are not self-aware of their own actions. Everything that I have slipped up from a tweet to a comment that had no disrespectful tone at all on an Instagram live, I own up to it and I stand in it and I apologize. Other people aren't built that way. They still want to turn to somebody else. Oh, this happened because you said this and that made me feel this way and that's why I did this, or the devil made me do it, or because of this happened. No, you made you do it. Stop playing the victim. Look at yourself. Every time you're pointing the finger, as Tyra Banks said back in the day, every time you point the finger, there's three more pointing back at you. Look at yourself. It has nothing to do with nobody else. Everything ends and begins with you. And once people realize that and take accountability, and first of all, be self-aware of your actions and how you are, take accountability for, and be willing to, evolve to become a better person. If you do that, I mean, all of that stuff you will become a better person and you will ascend. But people don't want to do that work, Marcus. They've been programmed to point the finger at somebody else. And I just pray for their healing. I just pray for their healing. I went through a situation this past weekend with cast, and I with a couple of cast members and getting calls and this and that, and folks thinking and feeling this, and I'm just like, wait, what? Like what? Where? What part? What are you talking about? Okay, well, you know, sure, I'll do it to make you feel, and I'll sincerely apologize. If they feel like that, I'm not here to invalidate anybody's feelings. I understand that this can be, a wild ride and it can take a mental toll on you. And I understand that everybody don't have tough skin like Amber and I. But I gave people free game and I told them stay away from the Facebook groups, the YouTube comment reviews and episode recaps, the comments that may show up on said blog on Instagram. Stay away from that. Protect yourself, protect your energy, protect your mental health. But no, misery loves company. And so they wanted to engage in that toxicity. And now there are folks on the cast member, from what I understand, that are literally dealing with some mental health issues, maybe, borderline depression or whatnot. And I'm like, wow, I feel for them. I pray for your healing. I hope that you all find healing.
Yeah.
But also on that same token, you need to look in that mirror and look deep inside of you and ask yourself, what was it that I did or the intention that I made to make this outcome become what it is?
For sure. And like you said, that work scares a lot of people off. But I think on a deeper level, the reason so many people are afraid of accountability is because it's the pathway to vulnerability. And at some point, being vulnerable opened certain people up to being hurt when they were defenseless. Whether that was emotionally, verbally, etc. But everything we want is on the other side of fear. At some point, we've all been through a lot of different things, but we have to really get to a stance where we say, okay, this is the fork in the road, and I have all this data showing me that my current way of being is not working. I have this many failed relationships. I have this many problems. This much mental stuff is going on. I'm not happy, and I deserve to be happy. So where does that path start? And it starts doing a lot of the opposites of what you've been doing up to this point. That's where you kind of started off, and that's one of the ways that I teach people to address fear in the first place. You neutralize the paralyzing fear by incrementally being disobedient to it. You can't follow the emotional reasoning that comes with fear that keeps you in that box of just rote patterns and things that, you know, you're doing the same thing over and over again, and you being guarded or not, you know, being defensive, high level defense mechanisms, not wanting to, you know, be accountable or self-aware or this, that, or manipulating, just doing everything but being authentic, right? Right? We're doing this song, we're doing all of this dancing.
All this song and dance, yeah, all of this dancing.
Except that. And that's why, you know, for, like I said, for somebody like yourself who has walked in it for so long, even when it was tough to do so,
I mean, I was vulnerable on national TV. I mean, even in regular life, are men this open and vulnerable in their private relationships behind a closed door? Here I am, open myself as an open vessel on national TV for the world to ridicule and love at the same time. But you know, I did it.
Right. And every time you do,
not a bad return on it either.
Right. And every time you do, the difference becomes the blessings collapse on you, and the chaos collapse on anyone who is moving in an inauthentic way. Like you know, there's always like, you know, just with the accountability talk, there's always a consequence to the choice. We can't have it both ways. We can't choose to be, you know, not accountable or deceptive, etc., and then try to get a benefit.
Yeah, you can't be the victor and the victim.
Being honest with you. You know what I mean?
You can't be the victim and the victor. Like you can't do it.
No, it don't work like that. So, but yeah, like I was telling you before, man, you know, seeing you and Amber's connection, why don't you speak to that if you can, because again, it's a stark contrast by the way, and I would say just out of, you know, just all of the cast connections, like I told you before, like there's something almost just innate between you two, like just, you know, on the scenes that I did get a chance to see, y'all had the same soundtrack. It would just be a point where y'all just start dancing at the same time, you know what I mean, or turning something into a song, or, you know, just always in sync and in tune.
Always. That's it.
Yeah, speak to that.
It first happened at the brunch, which was the second episode where we had the brunch on that Sunday. So at the Mansion Mixer, you know, put her to the side, you know, we began to talk, went over to sit down and talk to her. And then just after a little bit of small talk, that's when Tommy came over. And so he was shooting a scene with the girl. So then that next day, as we were, we had already had, you know, conversation outside and this, that, and the third, but it was off camera. We were sitting at the same table. We were waiting on Tommy to come back because we were about to do the elimination of, you know, which woman was about to be sent home. And as we're waiting and we just talking, like, she hadn't seen Last Resort. She didn't see season 3. And so when we started talking about finances, you know, she said something to the effect, like, she was like, you know, women can't be, you know, trying to tear down patriarchy and then, you know, still want a man to pay for everything. Like, what are you doing? Like, it's got to be one or the other. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. And I was like, wow, so you get it. And then that conversation started going, and she just started saying more things, and I literally like, I remember me like being silly, but I melted in a chair. I was like, what are you saying? And then I just kind of went down, you know, kind of like that. And yeah, and so after it was said and done, she asked for my number, and I was like, man, did not expect that, you know. And then from then on, it was kind of like a slow drip because I was in the beginning, like I was focused on Stacy, like Stacy and I, like I was talking to Stacy the most in the beginning,
Mhm.
and and then Chrysanthemum, and yeah, and Alexis and Liz and Tressa. So I was juggling like six that I was
Mhm.
talking to, like, but initially, it was Stacy, and then um, the more Amber and I, talked and like how she was surprised that I would get her little jokes or sayings from certain movies or TV shows, and um, us just it just began to click more and more. And so there was one time where I had a date. I think my date was with Tressa, and I'm sitting waiting because there was overlapping in filming, and Amber had called me, and I'm in the van with one of the producers, and the producer's like, put on speakerphone, and I was like, damn, okay, so on speakerphone, and so we having a conversation, and after we was done, she was like, "Oh hell no!" She was like, "Oh, it's you and Amber." Like, I just heard that one of the executives came on. She was like, "Yo, I just heard this guy." She was like, "It's Chris and Amber." I was like, "No, I thought her and Joel." She was like, "I just overheard the whole exchange. Like, they talk like besties. Like, she called him. She just started going in. Like, soon as she answered the phone, like on this, and then he's calming her down, and then responding back, and like they just have this thing. Like, I just
Mhm.
witnessed it." And I was like, well, yeah, it do be that easy. And so, things just kept going on. We just, kept surprising each other, being just more, the magnets just kept getting closer. And, because somebody was like, damn, like, she like 10 years younger than you. I was like, I don't see age. First of all, I'm not an age, I'm an energy. Like, and
That's a
so
fact.
I feel the same way. Like I don't even see age anymore.
Mhm.
So that doesn't matter. And come to find out, yeah, she may be the youngest one, but you know what? She is the wisest one out of all of these late 30, early 40 women. She got the most wisdom out of all of them, and she the youngest one. If I'm gonna keep
Right.
it a buck, or if I'm gonna
Let's
keep it a
take that
stat,
off the table. You know what I'm saying?
yeah. So miss me with the young thing. What I've realized with that process, and with dating Amber, is that you know, uh, older or maybe even sometimes elder doesn't necessarily mean wiser.
That's a fact.
So yeah,
Indeed.
so that's how that happened, and what they didn't show a lot, me on my spiritual journey, because I had just had it at the end of December. We started filming on January 14th. Like, I am so fresh and a baby, and everything is like coming at me. Things are looking different. I'm just noticing certain gifts and powers and things, and just and I'm sharing that with her. And Amber she held my hand, man. Like, she helped me. She
Mhm.
legit helped me along the way, and I was like, more than I do, because and she was like, man, like, you're so powerful. Like, there's people that's been here and 10 years still walking, and they don't possess the skills or the powers that you do. Like, wow. And so just suggesting things that I watch, different. Just she she protected me. She was amazing, and I am forever grateful for her for that. Even if you know, Lord, I'm not speaking this out, but if on the
Mhm.
romantic tip, like, it doesn't fade out or nothing, really becomes of it, like us having kids and getting married, like everybody wants to on social media,
Mhm.
um, we will always. Oh, it's storming outside, so my power just flicked.
Gotcha.
Um, so we will always be tied, regardless. But she's a gem, and I'm not letting that go. Even though I know how amazing she's going to be, like, I see her future. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? And it's great, and I'm just glad to have somebody that's just as equally as busy as I am. She's a little more busier than me because she's got trials and she's in charge of a new court. But it's good to have that we have that understanding with, each other, because a lot of times you get with people who maybe aren't as busy and they say that they understand and they can handle it until they get in it and they're complaining. And it's like, but wait a minute, you knew this going in. I thought you said that you can handle this. Like,
yeah, they admire it until it infringes on their
until it
security
really, really,
needs.
really affects them.
Then it's like, nah, it's a problem. You know what I'm saying? But I love that. I love that about you too, and I love the fact that your authenticity is appreciated and added to, right? And that's the other component that we necessarily didn't touch too much on. Is like, I know for me, if I'm going to move forward with anybody and I'm going to interrupt what I'm doing purpose-wise in my lifestyle and all that, I'm going to bring somebody into my energy field, you best believe that they're going to be adding something to the game.
Add to me. Lettucey got a song about it called How You Gonna Add to Me?
Exactly. So, the fact that you were saying that she's bringing something to the table, helping and growing and even, throwing those referrals over, read this, watch this, right? Now, so that's somebody who you've been moving with a certain knowledge seeking type of attitude, and she's making that even more plentiful. You know what I'm saying? Throwing more seeds, into the garden, so to speak.
Yeah, man.
That's incredible, man. Like,
yeah, because it's a pivotal moment in my life to having my enlightenment and that spiritual awakening and being just a newborn, and then filming this show while going through all of these emotions, discoveries. My mind is just moving so much. I'm getting, it seems like I'm remembering things like flashes of different lives or whatever. Like, it was wild, just encountering, my spirit guides. I mean, like, my grandmother and my great aunt and my two great aunts, my grandmother, my two great aunts, and my uncles, like, they came to me one Saturday morning. I ain't know, she was right there to talk, like, everything. It was some other things that I shouldn't speak on because it's way too much. And I don't want to freak out the audience here. But yeah, she ain't going nowhere because she was there for me through a lot. Everything that had happened to me on the spiritual tip, in the spiritual realm, she definitely knew first. Actually, the only one that knows a lot of what happened, like things that I didn't even share with my brother, who's my best friend, like, on that, because, it ain't for everybody, and when I told her what happened, and she was just like, whoa, like, wow, like, so how you going and how we going? But yeah.
And I think, I got a theme for your life. I think the theme for your life is trust the push. And I'm gonna make it make sense, right? So in your timeline period, you've had several points where you felt a push to do something. Somebody may have suggested it, or it was, the intuition pushed you in that direction, or the draw into the field you're in, into getting the job that you got initially. Even that push where you were denying these DMs, and then the audience said, I think you need to go over there, and then the first one happened, which ended up connected to the spiritual and enlightenment. All of that was kind of around the same time.
Yeah, it was a slow drip when it happened. Yeah,
right. So all of that was necessary. All of that had to happen, right? And what was seemingly a fail in the midst of that, producers and all that give you that extra push. Hey, you sure? You don't want to, hey, the people liking you. Come on, do another one, right? And then so you go with, you went with that again, followed suit, and ended up connecting with somebody who vibrates right where you're at. You know what I'm saying? And I think, and I always tell people when it comes to the soulmate thing, I really feel like it comes with, first of all, when you ain't really looking, and second, when you are deep rooted in your purpose, and at that point of just being always evolving, growing, and learning, right? Because you're adding to yourself in a way that you are nourishing your being, you are crystallizing your purpose and self-identity more. So you're in essence showing that future soulmate how to treat you, how you want them to treat you, because you're treating yourself that way, right? And then so the breadcrumbs, the alignment, everything becomes aligned. All you got to do is trust the push. When you get that little tap on your shoulder, like, go ahead this way. And you've seen it on a lot of other spaces, but the big impact one, would definitely be everything that's happened regarding the show and as a byproduct of it, and who you were able to meet and connect with during this season. So, like I said before, I'm happy. I'm definitely excited about what's to come for you, brother. And let the people know like where they can find you, how they can listen, support, and be a part of.
Oh, sure, absolutely. Social media at KG Smooth on Instagram. IG is at Twitter is at IKG Smooth. But if you type in KG Smooth, I'm gonna pop up. I've been getting at Twitter for a decade about giving me the KG Smooth one because it's still an egg. They have one tweet. I'm like, yo, like let me get this one. KG Smooth. And then Chris Green on Facebook, Chris with a K. Or if you type in Chris Ready to Love, that'll pop up. And yeah, man, I don't do too much. I post every now and then. I post when I want to, not because I have to. It used to be a time where I posted because I had to and I hated it. And, I was like, you know what? After I made that conscious decision, I'm not a slave to this job, nor am I a slave to you, phone or said application. So whatever the rest of y'all are doing, y'all have at it. I'm not. So what? Nope. I do it when I want it. And so on. And that's peaceful. And that was another thing. I knew that I was definitely evolved and changed when I could deal, when we didn't have our devices during filming Last Resort, and how we had to, deactivate our social media. I was totally fine with it. As a matter of fact, I kept mine deactivated even 2 weeks after I was eliminated. I stayed off for an additional 2 weeks.
Right. That's how you fully in tune with yourself, energy, all of that. Because for some people, it's not so easy to detach, and for you, it's probably a breath of fresh air because it was great. It's taking
and even now, like in the past, where I might have been rushing out and I've left my phone, and I get to the station I'm like, oh, I left it. Oh well, I'll handle it when I get back home. I'm not. Yeah, it's lovely. It's beautiful to be here, and you all would love it here as well. So for those of you who haven't tapped in, if you feel yourself feeling a little different and changing the way that you live or the things that you used to do, or cutting people out because you realize they're toxic, or cutting out the things that used to do, places you used to go, don't fight it, don't resist it, just continue on. That is just you coming into and ascending higher. And as the sun gets hotter and this plasma continues to come down and these gamma rays are coming down from the sun, because there are two suns out there, bro. I've seen them myself twice. I've seen it twice. I've seen it twice, bro, with my own eyes. Two sons. Oh man. So with all of that happening, what's going on in the cosmos, you are going to feel different and you're going to vibrate higher. And I just want to say, just go with it. Do not resist. It is for the better. Trust me when I say.
That's great. That's great advice. That's great advice. And once again, I appreciate you for coming through. I appreciate you for sharing your wisdom and putting yourself out there, even on your platform.
Well, thank you,
Because
brother.
it's much needed. Much appreciated by the people who can appreciate it. And like I said before, just the most abundant things are definitely on the way. So just keep that authenticity, keep that forethought and that knowledge that everything is working in your favor, man. And I'm
Thank you.
always here as a support. I'll be checking in on you as
Yeah,
usual.
for sure. And I'm gonna have you on PAP, this Public Affairs Podcast. So you can teach the people, we can talk, mental health. We can talk exactly, hey, what we talk, today. Just people healing. We could
Yeah,
talk healing and
yeah,
how, one can start that process if they're open to doing the work.
for sure, for sure. And I would love to do that. I would love to do
For
that.
sure.
And then and like I said, we could slow walk it so people can have the step by step and kind of just have a different view of what it means. Because I think one thing is, like you mentioned before, mental health. A lot of things are coming into the wave now, but a lot of it still doesn't make any sense. Like if you think, there's buzzwords, mental health, healing. A lot of people don't even know what that means really. Like, so you
Right,
need to
right,
heal.
right,
Okay, where are they selling healing at? How do I
right,
even?
right. You're right.
What do you
You're
mean by
right.
that? So I
You're
think
right. I get it. The
it's
same with
it's
the word, woke.
yeah.
Before I had my enlightenment, I thought I was woke. I thought that woke meant that you are aware of the oppressions of, black people in America and, how the government, how this whole thing is devised. And with all of us, like, that's what I thought woke was. Uh-uh. Man. That ain't woke. That's what when they say fake woke, that's what that is. That is fake woke. When you are woke, that means you have had that enlightenment, like that Kundalini energy has traveled up your spine, and that third eye has opened, and you like, whoa, wait a minute, things are, whoa, this looks different. This ain't it. Wait a minute, what? This is Total Recall for real. Wait a minute, what? This is a Truman Show. Hold on. Everything's a lie. Wait a minute. This ain't what?
Yeah, yeah,
It's I love it. But the sad part about it is though, Marcus, people ain't ready. People ain't ready. People ain't ready. They can't handle the truth, bro. They can't handle the truth. Like people are finding out the truth now, and I'm hearing conversations, and people are really like, I mean, they're absolutely they're flabbergasted. They just incredulous. Like,
mhm.
what? And these are just small things. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, oof, baby, it's deeper than rap. It's deeper than
Yeah.
rap.
It is, and it goes back to what I said earlier. Like the desire, the inherent desire to evolve, right? To like, and I think a lot
The
of times
inherent
that starts.
desire.
A lot of times that starts really early. So you catching people in the adult age range who growth is not sought after, and a lot of times it's repelled. That's why with the lack of accountability thing, growth is repelled because the accountability then comes, the growth has to come after that. So something you would have to grow after that. They know that, so then they rather just justify it and deny it in the beginning because they don't
Mhm.
want to do any work because growth is something that they're anti, and that's going to be the choice. You're either going to have people who are like who growth oriented and say, I want to know more about that. I like that what he said or that book. I got to check that out. That's somebody who's growth oriented. They feed on that. And somebody else, you know, would then who's anti-growth, they'll show their face too, and they'll your broadcasts and so forth would probably repel them, and
Yeah.
that's absolutely fine, because it's, you know, for me, I like to keep things simple. Either you're here and you're gaining, or you're far away and you're comfortable. And the choice is always available. You know, I don't hate on, you know, you don't hate on nobody, I don't hate on nobody. Like, so everybody has that choice, but I'm definitely glad that, you know, glad for the awakening, but the fact that more information can be gained,
Yes.
you can test your powers out, you can grow, you can, like, there is no ceiling to
Speaking of
this.
testing your powers, this thing right here that I'm reading,
What's that?
The Miracle of Universal.
Yeah.
This light, I mean, this
Yeah.
thunder is really loud. I don't know if you hear it.
No, I heard it, and it's all symbolic. It's right in tune with what we're talking about, so I'm with it.
So, yeah, the Miracle of Universal Psychic Power: How to Pyramid Your Way to Prosperity. The cover is in the room, but yeah, this
I might
joker
have
right
to
here.
screenshot that side, so I can look that one up. I got to get that one.
Whoops! Wait a minute.
All right, bet. All right, I got it. Yeah.
Cool.
Necessary. Where are you at with it? You just started it, or you kind
I just got it with my homegirls from my years in Georgia doing radio. She mailed it to me. We were talking, and she, you know, was speaking the language. I was like, yo, like, Vern, are you there too? And so we just started having this conversation. I mean, we, you know, in the beginning when we first met, you know, it was a little something, but then, you know, better off as friends. I mean, she lived with me for, you know, a little while, and I was her guinea pig. She cooked for me. I mean, but anyway, just when I moved here, you know, just we've stayed in touch, but it's been a while since she's been in her new relationship. And then my godson, he's doing amazing things. So when we caught up, she was telling me about this. And she was like, yeah, I was at this old man's house, and there were all of these books. There was this one book that didn't have no cover. And I was like, what is this? And so he said that I could have it. And so I've read it, and here, I'm going to send this to you. And she was like, you know, the next time you want to manifest something, you know, really major, she gave me another technique, you know, and it talks about, you know, building an energy ball and visualizing what it is that you want inside, you know, this ball. And once it gets heavy enough, and I've been practicing, and I can feel it. Once you visualize it, you throw it up to the universe, and, you know, say ashe, or it is so, and watch it happen. And so off of that one conversation of me doing that, I was like, oh, let me see, like, you know, just a little more money. And then I did it. And then the next day, opportunity came up where more money. I was like, oh, snap. So I can't wait to get the book so I can read it and see, you know, what more. So so far, you know, it gives you instructions, but I like it gives you also little stories that so you can connect, and so it can make sense, you know. Yeah, so like Sharon suffered, you know, from she had these warts somewhere on her hands, and so she, you know, meditated and thought, you know, clear skin. She spent 10 minutes a day, you know, just meditating and focusing on them going away and clear skin. And after, you know, a month, she had clear skin.
Heavy.
Yeah. You know, we could go. We could go. But yeah, I gotta get to DC though. I gotta get there, and hopefully you're available to chop it up more or something. You know, this would be that would be dope. Yeah.
Definitely, because I got some more in the collection too. I got a similar story. I ran into a homegirl, and you know, she had accumulated based on her aunt, like her aunt's library. She used to live with an aunt, You know what I'm saying? And I had a bunch of stuff that, whether or not she was really that in tune or not, the books were there. So she ended up bringing them down. And I was like, a kid in a candy store. I'm looking at this bookshelf, like, okay, it was, you know what I mean? And it was one of those where the only wish is like, damn, I need more time. Because I almost wish I could just scan them, like Matrix or something, just scan through the whole thing, because, it's one of my favorite things to do. And it's one of those things that I got to make more room for. And, I've been doing a little bit of the audiobook thing, where I can, and sleeping to certain material, and kind of, having that affect the dream cycle and waking up and, all that kind of stuff. But we'll definitely chop it up off camera, because I'm ready to get back in the game when it comes to, just bringing in more knowledge. Because I feel like I'm ready to do it. I've been working output a lot, but I'm ready to bring a lot of stuff back in, into frame. So,
man, ain't nothing to it but to just do it.
There you go. Well, thanks again.
Man, thank you, Marcus. I appreciate that, man. It's love.
Oh yeah, man. And you're doing a lot of big things. You're a major example, as far as carrying authenticity, no matter the stakes, no matter what occurs, no matter who says what. I'm saying, being yourself and causing your environment to bend to you, as opposed to you bending to your environment. You know what I mean? And you're definitely a testament to moving in that way, all the way to the end, and still doing it.
Yeah. Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Yeah. So keep that up, man. We're gonna talk soon. Thank you, everybody, for watching, tuning in, supporting. Be sure to support this brother as well. Tune into his broadcast and just watch him continue to soar and move forward. Stay tuned to the show finale, all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? Hopefully you guys have been following the show, and I will see all of you next time. Y'all be safe, stay positive, stay productive, and I'll see you soon.
Peace.